What's smoking, comrades? Welcome back to the Smokey Squadcast. I'm David, and who are you?
I'm Thomas.
Okay. And Hunter is not here because
He's John Wick. No, he's
he's John Wick? What?
there's a secret organization going after him, and he's having to fight them off Jason Bourne style. He will be back at some point.
Yeah. Speaking of John Wick, I did recently see the fourth one, and it was really good. I would argue.
Oh yeah, review yet? I need to do that.
I would argue better than Top Gun Maverick, but that's
Really?
yeah. That's just my opinion.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll have to watch. I'll have to watch it and see. I've only seen the first John Wick. I want to go back and see the others, but
Yeah, they're pretty good movies. Yeah.
first one, yeah.
So today's topic, we said we would do this for our viewers. We're going to be debating Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, and
Which is the greatest movie that's come out in the last 5 years.
that's not true. Well, I personally don't like it. Thomas and Hunter thought it was great, and we are going to express our feelings. And I don't know where to start. Where do you think it would be good? Like characters or story or whatever?
Well, why don't you start by listing your general complaints with it, and we'll go from there. I do have some story stuff I want to talk about, but
Okay.
let's start with you.
So, okay, I do need to say, I've thought about it a little more. I don't hate it as much as I do now, but I still don't really like it. It's, for one thing, Zachary Levi as Shazam is just kind of annoying in this movie. Most of the humor in general just didn't really do it for me in this one, because it felt like I've heard the jokes, like jokes that everyone repeats all the time that is not really funny anymore. And like for the first one, you could tell that there was something different about the humor, and it was still clever and unique to the director's style. But this one just feels kind of, like, what if we just threw this joke in? Yeah, that's people like that joke, right? Yeah, that'll be good. I don't know. Just
Okay.
that. Go ahead.
I found it funny, but I'm a bit of a dork, and it's dork humor.
Well, that's yeah.
And I will say, as far as Zachary Levi, I get what you're saying. I thought he did fantastic, and I get what you're saying about Shazam being more exaggerated of a goofball than he is as a regular kid. But I think that's kind of the point. Like everything about him gets exaggerated once he says Shazam and becomes Shazam. So I thought he did fantastic in the role. He did exactly what I imagined it would be like if a teenager could turn into a superhero.
Yeah, I guess because the kid playing Billy Batson isn't that great of an actor. That's probably why it feels different. But yeah, I think there's a level of goofiness that I don't really find amusing, but that's okay. I mean,
Right.
there's that.
Fair.
But I did like Freddy.
Freddy? I love Freddy. He's my favorite.
Yeah, he's the best one. Other characters. The rest of the Shazam family was okay. Let's see, the what's her name? Mary. The older sister. She was good. I like her for her acting skills, of course.
You're such a dork.
I think the closest that the acting got with the kid and the superhero parts was Darla, the youngest one. That one felt at least the same character.
Right.
To me.
Yeah, I agree. She definitely was the most on point. Well, I think Freddy, and I mean, I also think Shazam, but I think Freddy kept his characters capped in every power.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say about the character of Shazam is I think why it's so popular and why everyone loves it is because Shazam is a relatable story for teenagers because that's kind of what puberty feels like. It feels like being a little kid in a man's body.
I didn't think about that.
Very awkward and weird, and I think that's why it's so relatable and so enjoyable to watch because we can all be like, yeah, that was me. I mean, minus the lightning powers, but
yeah, I didn't think about that before. That was really good. The kid, the green Shazam, the gay one.
Oh,
so what you said about Pedro, there we go. What you said about him being more than a character, I can't really see anything else. The only thing I can see is that he's gay and then he's bad at volleyball. That's it. That's all I see.
Dodgeball.
Dodgeball. But that's it.
I'm being nitpicky.
That's fine.
But that's fair. He was a very quiet character, but I kind of think that was the point. He was supposed to represent the awkward, quiet kid who he's a good guy. He just doesn't want to people. But he was also the one who pays it. He does what he needs to do quietly without seeking attention. He's the humble one. Like he found the library books. He was learning stuff that was helpful, and then he showed his family, but he wasn't taking credit for it. He was just the humble one. Our bigger point was they didn't make him, this awkward, flamboyant gay guy that only existed to be gay. He was a character outside of being gay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the last Shazam kid who was gray was okay.
The Asian guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was funny.
Yeah, sure.
He played every Asian character ever. His character was like the stereotype smart but snarky Asian character that's in a lot of movies.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Who are the parents? Rosa and the other guy. Here's one thing. So the mom at the beginning of the movie when they were like, "Bye, Mom," and they were gonna save the world, they're like, "Bye, Mom," and then Billy was like, "Yeah, see, bye, Rosa," and it's like he'll get around to it. He'll call you Mom someday, and nothing has been touched on it. And then before the final battle begins, the only second time that comes back up, he says, "Thanks, Mom," and then there's no build up to anything. They hardly show up, and I don't know. There's no.
So I get what you're saying. There was not a lot of interpersonal reaction between Rosa and Billy. However, I do think that there was tension building, and I think it led up nicely because at the beginning of the movie, he's not at a therapist, but he's doing therapy, and he mentions the loss he's felt. But then as the movie progresses, he realizes that it's not disloyal to his original mother to call Rosa Mom. It's not wrong to give his siblings a little bit of freedom. He's not going to lose them. It's a journey of trauma and getting past it. And so while that we didn't see that in an interpersonal relationship between Rosa and Billy, we do see Billy getting there on his own through the events of the movie. So I think it makes sense for him to say that at the end of the movie, because he has had personal character development, and she didn't need to change. She wasn't doing anything wrong. She was just waiting for him to kind of grow up a bit. She's just a loving mother. She was a very motherly character. So, all right, I'm going to sidetrack real quick. That's another thing I love about Shazam. Everyone was the character they needed to be. Rosa was a mother. She was a motherly character doing mother stuff. The dad was a dad character. I mean, a bit of a goofball, but Hollywood loves to make the dads look like idiots. But I thought he was a dad character.
Yep.
The guys were guys, especially Freddy. I mean, I love Freddy. He's like the pinnacle of masculinity in that movie. Freddy is just my favorite character, and I can go on a 30-minute rant about why. I'm happy to. If the viewers want that, leave it in the comments. Maybe not 30 minutes, but Hunter hates it when I do 30-minute videos. Anyways, and the girls, were female characters. They weren't like, oh, look at me, I am butch masculine female, which is so disrespectful to women. Like,
Yeah.
make feminine characters, and in Shazam, they were feminine characters.
Yeah.
So I love that everyone was the character they needed to be.
I do like that too. What about the love interest of Freddy?
So I think it was not a deep or complex romantic arc, but it was exactly, as someone who has helped many of my friends through their crushes and stuff, it is exactly how teenage guys fall in love and then go about it.
Yeah, that's true. Hang on.
Which I think the point is Shazam is supposed to be the teenage guy's hero. Look, I'm just like you. And so, again, it wasn't deep, it wasn't complex, they could have explored it more, but it was exactly how a teenage guy would handle it.
Yeah. And that is also, I can cut this out if you want, but that is also what we call pedophilia, because she is 6,000 years old.
I like them. But I do love that they made fun of it. A lot of times they won't really acknowledge it in the movie, but they made fun of it in Shazam. Like, the dad goes, I feel like this is kind of inappropriate. And then later when Wonder Woman shows up, spoiler alert,
Not really.
I think the mom goes, yes, the mom, Rosa, she goes, what is it with our boys and older women? The other thing I will say, so even if Shazam did have problems with some of the editing, because I know you mentioned that in your story, I'd be interested to hear what you meant, like, in further detail. But
Yeah.
they used Chekhov's gun, which for me supersedes any editing problem. The fact that they used it and used it well is so fantastic and, like, scored so many points with me. The globe thing, I don't know what it's called.
I feel bad for forgetting what that was, so I can't really...
But it's the electric globe thing. You touch it and the electrical wires come by your finger.
Yeah.
But it looked identical to the globe at the end when Shazam dies. That's the other thing. From a story writing perspective, they handled Shazam's death so fantastic. They showed the characters mourning Shazam, which they did not do in Star Wars Force Awakens. Han Solo just dies and we don't see anyone's real reaction. You know, Leia's like, oh, I'm sad, and then that's it. But in Shazam, we see everyone's individual reaction to his death, and that is so beautiful.
I don't know. I kind of predicted that he was... I knew he was going to come back, though. Like, I couldn't feel any sadness in that moment.
True, we all kind of knew he was going to come back, but they did it to a way that we almost started to doubt it, which I thought was good story writing. Like, he was truly dead. He didn't wake up and say a joke to Freddy.
Yeah,
they buried him, and we got to see everyone mourning.
And then they joked.
Everyone was sad. And then he did come back. But as far as deaths go, we have not seen a good death in Hollywood for freaking ever. And Shazam did it fantastic, even though they did resurrect him. But, I mean, I'm not sad about them resurrecting him because it was the funniest scene ever when Wonder Woman just shows up.
Yeah. It's like, oh no. You know, they actually spoiled... They spoiled it themselves. Warner Brothers did. For the trailers. They showed her... Yeah, they had her in the trailers before the movie came out. So I was like, what? She's in this movie? Oh, it's also confirmed that she's in the Flash movie too. Ben Affleck confirmed it.
I'm excited about that movie at all.
People love... Test screenings are doing really good for that one, which is surprising to me.
So, in your short where you reviewed Shazam, you mentioned that you didn't like the editing or found some problems with the editing. I don't know as much about editing, so could you elaborate on that?
Sure. So there was one scene in particular when the older sister, I forgot her name.
Mary, I believe.
No, I meant the villains. My bad. The older lady villain.
Oh yeah, I got you.
The forgettable villains. I would say there was a part in the jail scene I remember where they were talking to her, kind of taunting her a little bit, and there was one scene that was just a minimal scene where Darla was whispering something to Billy, and it was off screen on the villain, and I don't know. It's hard to explain. There were just a lot of moments that I could have been like, why didn't they just leave the shot on them? Like, why are we focusing on the wrong thing at the wrong times? You know, like when someone's saying something and it's not on them, it's like I feel like we should have kept the shot on them. You know, and that's more like camera work. But I think, I just think it would have been. There were a lot of scenes that I thought could have stayed.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Like I said, I'm not really going to comment on that because I don't know as well.
That's okay.
I will say, my limited knowledge of editing, I felt like there was no unnecessary scenes in there. Like I felt like every scene mattered and continued to point towards the plot of the movie. There was nothing random for kicks and giggles or random cool action scene. It all mattered and pointed towards the plot. But I could even be wrong about that. Like I said, you know more about editing. So would you say?
I don't really remember all that much. I'm gonna have to rewatch it sometime and see, and we can do a deeper dive on that sometime.
Okay.
But I think one. Do you want to do one more thing to talk about? I think I got one. I think the villains should be the last on the list. I think the villains were very forgettable, in my opinion. Like it's just kind of we didn't really get a deep dive into the father of those villains because they mention him, but they don't really go into depth with that. And I don't know, just their story wasn't that compelling to me. It just felt kind of generic. I feel like what we should have gotten was Shazam versus Black Adam. I think Black Adam should have been the villain. It would have set up perfectly because we had Dwayne The Rock, but then Dwayne Johnson tried to mess up the Shazam 2 by him not being in it. I don't know exactly how that was working, but yeah, he didn't want to be in it, and that's kind of like, okay, sure. But
so I get what you're saying. The theme for the villains was more basic, but from a character perspective, I thought they were written well. So I'll give you that they may be slightly forgettable. You know, they're not Thanos or Loki. I'll totally give you that. But their interpersonal relationships with each other and their characters were evident and always on display. And so I think they were, even if they were forgettable, they were written very well and fitting with how you would imagine it. The young one is more generous and forgiving of the people. She just wants her home back, just wants to be comfortable. It's fine, whatever. The oldest is, wants tradition, wants things to go back, needs things to be right. And if people die, so be it. And then the middle child is just insane, which, again, I think continues with the theme of Shazam of representing how young adults feel, which is not always justified. A lot of young adults are really messed up, especially if you look at modern day statistics. But it is a stereotype that the oldest child is the perfect child and wants tradition and order. And then the youngest child is the most free and easy to forgive or whatever. And the middle child is some messed up, horrible kid. And so they kind of continued that. And the general theme of Shazam is, here is the superhero story for the young teenagers, which is fun. So anyways, I thought how they interacted with each other fit their characters. I thought their characters were on display, even if they were slightly forgettable. I thought they all did a great job. The oldest sister, I forget her name, but she's a fantastic actress. She's been an actress forever, and she's really talented.
And that's kind of
see her in this movie.
I think I feel like she was kind of wasted in her performance with this one. Like I know she's a good actress, but I think it could have been more. I think it could have been more, but whatever. I think it's fine here. It's not too...
And I also love the tone. So there's a difference between theme and tone. Theme is the message. Tone is the vibe. I enjoyed the theme of, or the tone of Shazam, which is dark, creepy, and morbid, but also super lighthearted.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's almost no blood, so they can have the dark, creepy monsters and do horrible things. They can bite people's heads off, but it's still kind of lighthearted because there's no blood.
Mm-hmm.
And I just found those, and I know it's really bad, but I absolutely love the scene where Darla is riding the unicorn and goes, "Taste the rainbow."
No, it is kind of funny. I liked it when she just whispered it to the horse when she was the first interaction. So it's like, "Taste the rainbow."
Yeah,
that was great. But yeah,
and I also love that Darla, because you're right, Darla is probably the most evident of all the characters. She's obviously a little girl. So even when she was in superhero form, she was bringing the oldest sister who they imprisoned Skittles, but only the yellow ones because they taste the worst. Which I personally love the yellow Skittles, but it is such a little kid thing to do. Like,
yeah, that's
I'm
great.
mad at you, but you can still have the candy because I don't want to be mean. But here's the bad tasting ones.
Yeah, that's funny.
Everyone's character was written very well. Again, I can speak to the editing or cinematography. That's you and Hunter's department. But from a story writing perspective, they did it well mechanically and artfully, and the characters were written well.
Yeah,
I thought.
Yeah, I think there are some funny moments that make it not horrible. Like there was specifically when they were writing the letter to the bad guys, and there was like, I love that part so much, and they were just writing what everyone was saying. It was still, I'll admit there was heart in the movie. That was probably not exactly like the first, but still, enjoyable and sweet in some areas.
Right.
It's fine. I'll give it a rewatch sometime. I was a little harsh at first, but yeah.
Well, hey, and you're entitled to your opinion. That's totally fine.
Yeah, but I'm.
It's just the wrong opinion.
Oh, okay. Don't give me the yellow Skittles.
The yellow Skittles, yeah. What is your favorite Skittle flavor or color?
Probably the red one.
That makes sense. Yeah, red's pretty good. I do love the yellow ones, though. I will say my least favorite is the green one.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. If I had to rank them, it would be red, green, purple, orange, and then yellow.
Interesting. I would do yellow, orange, red, purple, green. And if there's a blue, it's in between purple and green.
They don't really have blue ones, which is that's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, you can't taste the rainbow without a blue Skittle.
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
Blue candies are always universally terrible. Blue is a terrible color for candies.
Well, I'm gonna have to look up blue candies later, but yeah, I think. Any more thoughts, or is that?
I've talked about everything I want to talk about.
I've talked about everything too. You can watch our other videos on Shazam too, but for now, thank you guys for watching this episode. Be sure to leave a like down below, comment down what you think of the movie, and consider subscribing. Please watch more of our videos and follow us. You can check our channel links in the description, and we'll see you guys next time. Shazam!
Yeah. Shazam.
Oh no.